Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that literally affects every single one of us, the practical, everyday mathematics of money and finance. We'll be following the complete life cycle of a dollar. Whether you're planning a vacation, analyzing your very first paycheck, or thinking about starting a side hustle, the numbers behind these daily activities govern our lives. But so often, we just let the math happen in the background without really understanding the mechanics that are quietly draining, or hopefully multiplying, our wealth. So today, we're going to bring those mechanics to the forefront. We're going to take a structured look at how money moves, how it's earned, and how its value actually changes over time.
All right, so here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to cover global currency conversions, figure out how your earnings actually work, calculate profit and loss, and finally, look at percentage profit and depreciation.
Kicking things off with Section 1, Global Currency Conversions and Moving Money Across Borders.
Now, look at the sheer scale of the differences here. We're using the euro as our baseline. A single euro? It gets you about $1.5 Australian dollars, or $1.15 in the US. But then, look at Zimbabwe. That exact same single euro translates to a staggering 412,800 Zimbabwean dollars. No way, right? Or jump over to Japan, where it's 130 yen. These aren't just fun trivia facts. They literally dictate global economics, trade, and even your travel budget.
So to see how this works in practice, let's say you're taking a trip from Europe to Sydney. You've got a budget of 400 euros that you want to exchange into Australian dollars. How much local spending money are you actually going to have in your pocket when you land?
Well, the math here is super straightforward. It's just your base currency times the exchange rate. Since 1 euro buys $1.50 in Australian money, you just take your 400 euros, multiply it by 1.50, and boom, you get 600 Australian dollars. It's a simple calculation for sure, but it's the absolute foundational step in mastering global finance.
Moving right along to Section 2, understanding your earnings, or, getting paid.
Okay, if you've ever opened your paycheck and felt that slight wave of disappointment, yeah, you've experienced this next concept firsthand. The crucial takeaway here is that your gross pay, the total amount you technically earned, is really just a starting point. Your net pay is the reality of what you actually take home. The culprit? Deductions. Things like taxes, health insurance, and pension contributions. They all act as a filter between what your boss pays and what actually hits your bank account.
Now, if you want to boost that net pay, you might end up working beyond your fixed hours and get into overtime. Usually, this means you hit an enhanced rate category. Time and a half scales your regular wage by 1.5, while double time is exactly what it sounds like, twice your basic pay. Understanding these multipliers is absolutely crucial so you know exactly what your extra time is worth.
But hey, what if you aren't paid by the hour at all? Not everyone punches a clock. Piecework actually pays you for the physical items you produce. Let's look at Maria's schedule here. She earns a flat 5 euros for every dozen plates she finishes, and her work week fluctuates wildly. She was on fire Tuesday with 360 plates, but kind of slowed down by Friday to 180. To calculate her pay, we don't care about hours. We just figure out how many dozens she made each day and multiply that by 5. It's a system that directly rewards speed and efficiency.
All right, on to Section 3. Calculating profit and loss, getting into the real business of money.
Listen, the survival of literally any commercial venture comes down to this basic balancing act. You have to ensure your selling price consistently outpaces your cost price.
I know.
It sounds super obvious, right? But tracking this razor-thin margin between profit and loss is exactly where businesses either thrive or die.
Let's put this into a real-world scenario. Imagine a market trader trying to turn a profit on a bulk purchase of fruit. He buys 3 massive boxes of oranges. Each box holds 144 oranges and costs some $14.40. He then turns around and sells every single orange to his customers for 12 cents apiece. So the question is, how much does he actually take home at the end of the day?
By breaking down the math into total cost versus total sales, we can clearly see the outcome. First, let's find his total cost. 3 boxes times $14.40 means he spent $43.20. Next up, his sales. 3 boxes times 144 oranges per box times 12 cents each, that brings in $51.84. Finally, you just subtract his cost from his sales. And there it is. The trader walks away with a tidy profit of $8.64 for his day's work. It might not seem like a fortune, but remember, the mechanics of this calculation are the exact same ones used by multi-billion-dollar corporations.
Which brings us to Section 4, percentage profit and depreciation,
or measuring value over time.
To really understand the scale of a financial win or loss, raw numbers just aren't going to cut it. Think about it. An $8 profit means very different things if it took you $10 to make it versus $10,000. That's exactly why we rely on this golden formula. Profit or loss divided by the cost price multiplied by 100. This percentage tells you the true efficiency of your money. It lets you compare investments of completely different sizes on a totally level playing field.
Let's apply this to a pretty painful but super common financial reality: depreciation. Cars are notorious for this, right? In this scenario, a woman buys a car for $7,500. Just 2 years later, she sells it, but she can only get $4,500 for it. We obviously know she lost money, but mathematically speaking, how severe is that loss? Using our golden formula, we can map out the exact drop in value. Step 1. Find the raw loss. That's her original price minus her selling price, leaving us with a $3,000 loss. Step 2. Divide that $3,000 loss by her original cost price of $7,500. That gives us 0.4. Finally, just multiply by 100 to convert that decimal into a solid percentage.
40%. Wow. This massive number represents her total depreciation. It means the car lost nearly half of its entire value in just 2 short years. When you view the $3,000 loss just as a raw number, sure, it hurts. But seeing it as a 40% drain on her initial investment, that really highlights the brutal financial impact of depreciation.
Before we wrap up this explainer, I want you to grab a calculator and try this property development challenge on your own. A developer buys a house for $40,000, and the selling price is $52,000. So, what's the percentage profit? Remember, understanding these numbers isn't just about passing some math test. It's quite literally the fundamental toolkit for navigating the modern world. Because honestly, if you aren't calculating the math behind your money, who is? Thanks so much for joining me on The Explainer, and I'll catch you next time.